Untuk membuat tekstur seperti ini, saya pakai ini teman-teman ya. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bertemu saya lagi Yohan. Kali ini saya ingin mengajak teman-teman semua untuk menggambar geisha teman-teman ya. Ini pesanan dari subscriber kita. Ayo kita mulai teman-teman. Membuat teksturnya saya pakai ini teman-teman. Ballpoint yang sudah Anda bisa, kita goreskan ke kertas, misalkan seperti ini. Setelah itu kita arsir teman-teman. Oke.
Hi everyone, back with me again, Moza. Today my dad will draw samurai geisha. Please sit down and enjoy the video or grab a piece of paper and your art supplies. Let's draw together. Let's go back, way back, to the tail end of the Sengoku era in Japan. This is where our girl, Kozue, makes her grand entrance. Born in the heart of Kyoto, right in a district famous for training both warriors and artists, Kozue was, let's just say, not your average girl. Her mother was a seasoned geisha, trained in every traditional art, music, dance, tea ceremonies, the whole cultural package. Her father, a ronin, a masterless samurai with a bit of a temper and a lot of enemies. The two fell in love, not so quietly and not very wisely. That union broke about 17 traditions and 100 rules. And when Kozue was born, the elders didn't quite know what to do with her. Too bold for a geisha? Too refined for a samurai? But she didn't care. From a young age, Kozue was caught between two lives, spending her mornings balancing books on her head while learning shamisen, and her evenings sparring with wooden swords in the backyard. Her childhood was basically a mix of cherry blossom petals and bruised knuckles. She wasn't supposed to master both worlds, but guess what? She did. By the age of 15, Kozue was already known in underground circles as the Oiran of Iron, a nickname that sounds prettier in Japanese, but trust me, nobody said it to her face unless they were trying to get smacked with a closed fan or disarmed in 5 seconds flat. Okay, so what does she look like? Kozue wasn't flashy, but she stood out. You would notice her even in a crowded Kyoto alley during a festival. And not just because she looked like she could both serve you the tea and break your arm at the same time. Samurai geisha stood at about 5.6, taller than most geisha, with a posture that made her seem even more commanding. She moved with the grace of someone who has been trained to glide across a stage, and the tension of someone who could break into a fight mid-step without missing a beat. Her face was striking, not delicate. Sharp cheekbones, defined jawline, and slightly arched eyebrows that gave her a permanently unreadable expression. Was she amused, annoyed, planning something, all three? You never really know. Her eyes were a deep onyx, clear and direct. They didn't sparkle or smolder, they calculated. People say they didn't just look at you, they read you. Like she could size up your stance, skill level, and personal insecurities in one glance. Her skin was smooth and pale, but not in the doll-like sense you see in romanticized portraits. Hers told stories, like calluses on the hands from scorched ribs, faint nicks on her forearms that no amount of rice powder could hide, a thin scar on her right collarbone, probably not from anything poetic, just a fight she barely walked away from. Hair, always up, always tidy. A classic Shimada style bun, but modified. Less ornamental, more practical. The decorative Kanzashi hairpin, not just pretty, it was solid steel, weighted for throwing or strapping. That wasn't hair accessory, that was insurance. Her clothing balanced her dual life. She wore a modified kimono with custom stitching to allow for more movement, split seams at the sides, reinforced with thin armor panels under the outer layers. The sleeves were slightly shorter than traditional length, so they wouldn't snag in combat. Her patterns were subtle, not flashy florals or peacocks. Usually dark blues, maroons, or muted golds, with embroidered motifs like cranes, waves, or falling leaves. Symbols of grace, transience, and, let's be honest, distraction. She wore soft-soled tabi boots instead of sandals, allowing her to move silently and quickly, and under her obi belt, a set of hidden tools, needles, a short tanto blade, smoke pellets, and sometimes even coins to bribe her way out of boring situations. In short, Kozue looked like someone who could walk into a tea house and perform flawlessly for diplomats, then walk right back out, disarm two attackers in the alley, and make it home in time to charge before curfew. And she never once dropped a hairpin. Now, you can't slap two cool titles together and expect someone to live up to it, but Kozue, she exceeded the hype. She mastered the short blade and katana combo, not the standard daisho, but her own variation, quick draw, dual blade flow, efficient and brutal. Rumors say she could disarm 3 opponents before they even blinked. She is great with dance fighting. Yeah, it sounds weird, but imagine a geisha's trained movements adapted into unpredictable rhythmic combat. Think parries with fan flourishes, kicks between spins, slicing mid-bow, beautiful and terrifying. Then she could charm intel out of a warlord during tea, then vanish into the night without leaving footprints. It is said she once infiltrated a daimyo's palace disguised as a gift, a literal gift. Next, psychological warfare. Let's be real, half her power was in getting enemies to underestimate her. The other half was in what happened after they did. Kozue became a symbol of balance between tradition and rebellion, elegance and strength, duty and freedom. In a world where women were often seen as either warriors or beauties, she was both, effortlessly. She wasn't fighting for any particular lord or clan. She didn't care for politics. She wasn't a vigilante either. What she fought was for autonomy, for herself, for others like her, for anyone forced to choose between two halves of who they are. Let's break down Kozue's trademark, the fan and blade combo. She always carried both. The fan wasn't just a prop, it was a shield, a distraction, and sometimes a weapon. The silent bow. Right before a duel, she always bowed silently, no matter how rushed or chaotic. It wasn't about respect, it's about control. The rule of three: never fight the same opponent more than 3 times. If they survived once, it was luck. Twice, skill. Third, that's where they either joined her or disappear. Tea after combat. No matter how intense the mission, Kazue always brewed a small cup of tea afterward. It was ritual, it was grounding, it was also how she cleaned her blade. There are several side stories that you should know. The first is the duel on the floating stage. She fought a rival geisha turned assassin on a wooden stage set over a koi pond. It ended with both of them vanishing in a plume of cherry blossom petals. Next up is the rice merchant incident. Kazue disguised herself as a rice merchant for 6 months. Just to uncover a plot to poison a noble family, she gained 20 pounds in rice alone. Next is the forbidden letter. A letter found in an old tea house believed to be her writing hinted she had a sister trained in ninja arts. Fanfiction went wild after that one. The last but not least is surprisingly her only defeat. Kazue once lost a fight, just once, to a child. She was teaching a young girl swordplay and got distracted. The kid hit her with a wooden stick. Kazue laughed, gave her a rice ball and said, "You will run this town someday." That girl? She became a war general. Kazue, the samurai geisha, isn't just a relic of history or a pretty myth. She's an idea. That identity doesn't have to fit a box, that you can be soft and sharp, polite and dangerous, ancient and future. I think that is all that I can share with you all. If you liked the video, please do hit the like button, drop a character that you want my dad to draw, and hit the subscribe